Anyway, like any set of ideas, Islam is like a religion. It's any set of ideas. It deserves to be scrutinized. Well, I have scrutinized it, and I have found it wanting. I found it lacking. Everywhere there is Islam, you will find women oppressed. Everywhere there is Islam, you will find... You're wearing a hijab in the United States of America. What is wrong with you? You see, they want to shout you down by saying, oh, what about me? I'm not so oppressed. Well, let's move on from women. If you don't care about female genital mutilation, don't care about forced marriages, don't care about acid thrown in the faces of your Islamic sisters, if you don't care about any of those things, fine. Let's talk about gays instead. In 12 Islamic countries, I could be killed for my sexuality. Is that okay? 100 million people live in countries where it is illegal to be homosexual. All of those countries are Islamic. This is not an ISIS thing. You know, you will see gays being thrown off the roof in ISIS-controlled territories. But this has nothing to do with terrorism. This is mainstream Muslim culture. Your religion does it everywhere your religion exists. It is a threat, an existential threat to gay people. Everywhere in the world there is Islam, you will find women oppressed, homosexuals murdered, you will find gang rape. Now, there's a unique phenomenon that doesn't really exist outside of Islamic cultures, of familial gang rape, where fathers, brothers, and cousins go out raping people together. It happened in Rotherham in the UK. And the liberal establishment in the UK didn't investigate this because, according to a government report, not a far right-wing blog, according to a government report, 1,400 young girls were raped in racially or religiously, as you choose to define it, motivated crimes, because both the police and the authorities were too scared of being called racist to intervene. And this pattern repeats itself everywhere there is mass Muslim immigration. My suggestion to you, America, is that you don't need it here. Learn your lesson from 9/11. Learn your lesson from Orlando. These socially regressive, see, they walk out when they don't like the facts. These socially regressive attitudes, of Muslims in the West are horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. The surveys show that 52% of British Muslims think that my sex life should be made illegal. 39% of them. Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? Don't you want to talk about numbers? Are you embarrassed? Are you embarrassed? Are you embarrassed of the hateful culture that surrounds your religion, that oppresses women and murders homosexuals and commits unspeakable acts of terrorism? Are you ashamed of it? Would you like to talk to us about why there's no global Muslim peace movement? Because I hear lots of very upset people at my talks complaining about statistics they can't refute. I don't hear a lot of Muslims standing up against terrorism. Or whether it is some of the Islamic hate crime hoaxes we've been seeing more recently. And these happen with alarming frequency. In fact, I've struggled to find, my research team has struggled to find a supposed hate crime against Muslims on an American college campus that did not turn out to be fake. I'll tell you about some of them. One student at the University of Louisiana admitted her attack was completely fabricated. She made the whole thing up because Trump supporters attacking a Muslim woman is simply believable to liberals fed a steady diet of hate by fake news. This is a rare instance of the lying media actually admitting that one of its cherished hate crimes was a hoax. Normally they just move on quickly and never mention it again. Yasmin Saweed, just 18 years old in New York City, made up a similar story. She said 3 men called her a terrorist and attacked her, telling her to get out of the country. Again, it was fake. But you won't read the corrections, you only read the outrage. And here's a brand new one that can't be blamed on Trump supporters because it took place in Austria. A 14-year-old girl claimed she was attacked and the evil white men tried to rip off her hijab on a train. The police revealed it to be a complete fabrication as well. and a little closer to home. Oh, we're still having trouble at the back. 3 down. 3 down. I think if you take the second left, the airport is just Actually, no, we don't want them there, do we? It's a bit of a problem, actually. I hadn't really thought this through.
Yes.
Good evening. I just wanted to say thank you for coming to campus tonight and presenting your point of view. It's always valuable to have two sets of views going on at the same time. Very useful. My name is Jumana Imad Musa Ahmed Al-Bahri, and I'm a student here at UCSD. I was reading your literature. I found that much more interesting than the talk. And I found some interesting things about the MSA, which is an organization that's very active on campus, and it is hosting our annual Hitler Youth Week. You should come out to those events. If you could clarify the connection between the MSA and jihad terrorist networks, because last I checked, we had to do our own fundraising, and we never get help from anyone. So if you could clarify the connection between UCSD's MSA, or if you don't have such information, if you could connect other MSAs on UC's, because the connection wasn't too clear in the pamphlet. Just if you could clarify.
Okay. Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas?
Would I condemn Hamas?
As a terrorist genocidal organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
So you won't. I actually have had this experience many times. You didn't read the pamphlet because the pamphlet is chapter and verse. The main connection is that the MSA is part of the Muslim Brotherhood Network as revealed in the documents.
I don't think you understood what I meant by that. I meant if I say something, I'm sure that I will be arrested for reasons of Homeland Security. So if you could please just answer my question.
If you condemn Hamas, Homeland Security will arrest you.
If I support Hamas, because your question forces me to condemn Hamas. If I support Hamas, I look really bad.
If you don't condemn Hamas, obviously you support it. Case closed. I've had this experience, I had this experience at UC Santa Barbara where there were 50 members of the Muslim Students Association sitting right in the rows there. And throughout my hour talk, I kept asking them, will you condemn Hezbollah and Hamas? And none of them would. And then when the question period came, the president of the Muslim Students Association was the first person to ask questions. And I said, before you start, will you condemn Hezbollah? And he said, well, that question is too complicated for a yes-no answer. So I said, okay, I'll put it to you this way. I'm a Jew. The head of Hezbollah has said that he hopes that we will gather in Israel so he doesn't have to hunt us down globally. For it or against it?
For it.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and showing everybody what's here. And you're wearing a terrorist neckerchief.
If you understood...
you didn't hear the lady.
Could you please answer my question?
You don't get to make a speech. Yes, sir. Follow so much. Go ahead.
Okay. I think we're pretty much on the same page. Like, if we could just get on, make sure we're on the same page. I think one of the most, insidious things about the conflict is the idea of having ununiformed combatants. Do you agree with me on that? People
that's
that
a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem, right? And then also having people who are fighting a guerrilla warfare style of war. I think that we can all agree that that's pretty terrible, right? Guerrilla warfare, fighting an army without being uniformed, hiding. It's pretty insidious, right? So, I mean, we're condemning this in all cases, right? You should never fight ununiformed. Right? You shouldn't, I'm saying, Hezbollah and Hamas, they shouldn't be doing this guerrilla warfare, targeting citizens, right? And so then I guess like if we're going to condemn this as like terrorism because they're fighting civilian populations, they're also combating people without wearing uniforms. They're hiding in like schools and different areas. Like, isn't that kind of what the founding fathers did when they were fighting the British? It's kind of like the same thing a little bit, in the fact that there was this colonial power.
There's one big difference. Founding fathers weren't Nazis. They didn't want to exterminate people. They weren't religious fanatics who wanted to exterminate people.
The Puritans weren't religious fanatics? The Puritans weren't religious fanatics?
Yeah, they were religious people who believed in tolerance because they were refugees from religious oppression.
You're right. They were so free of religion that they started dictatorships everywhere and expelled people. Remember, like, the witch trials? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't want to... save your communist speech for the Finkelstein event. It's enough. It's boring. You are boring. And by the way, she could have picked up this idiocy in the standard text for peace studies, which compares the founding fathers to Thank you for sitting for an hour and a half to deliver that rant. The peace studies textbook, which was written by an animal psychologist and a raving leftist named Barish, actually compares al-Qaeda terrorists to the revolutionaries in the 18th century in North America, i.e. the founders. But the same, it's just... Anyway.
Okay.
Trotsky once said that Stalinism was the perfect theory for gluing up the brain, but it's leftism.